I literally expected nothing, but it also didn't build a relationship. You know what I mean? It might have enabled the guy to be homeless longer. I might have hurt the guy by doing that.
This will be a fun episode. You've probably seen the thumbnail. What you don't know is this is round 2. Literally yesterday, we sat here for 90 minutes. We had a cool conversation. Me and my man Brad Lea right here, and I literally, in all the melee, did not hit the record button. And I actually noticed it with about 20 minutes left. I just didn't have the heart to say it, and I was like devastated, which you'll never know because you won't be able to see that on camera because we didn't record. And I didn't want to tell Brad I wasted his time, and so I just floated it out there to the World Wide Web. And tagged him in it, and he was, I don't know if you were cranky. We'll get into that. So anyway, welcome back. Thank you, number one, for taking the time to come back out here on day 2. I'd like to go through the madness that was your day today and the fact that it is 5 o'clock and you haven't eaten a single thing and you haven't done anything other than, work, and you're still willing to entertain round 2 for this. So, sorry, that was long-winded. What's happening, Brad?
What's going down?
Busy, but not as busy as you.
Well, we all get busy sometimes. I find it a blessing. Some people can complain, some people could whine and moan and gripe, but I find it quite, what's the word I'm looking for?
Bless-worthy.
Yeah, I am grateful.
Yeah.
Yeah, because, there's a lot of people out there, and they just don't look at things the right way. Like, when they get busy, and they're like, oh, my God, I'm swamped. It's like, listen, there's people that wish they were swamped. So at the end of the day, man, I am grateful to be here. Round 2 is probably going to be better than round 1. Although yesterday I thought was a good one. That could have made for some good footage.
Yeah, we'll have to duplicate that. We'll get into the habit debate because that was a fun one.
I can never duplicate.
Yeah.
Because I'm too real. I'll say it a different way, even if you ask the same questions.
Yeah, we'll have to one-up it.
I'll probably say it differently. It'll be the same answer, though, so let's roll.
Well, I wanted to start with, we can dive into the habit thing. I think one thing that stands out a lot about you, and you probably get asked this a lot, is your personal brand, which we'll get into in a minute. But one of the things you are noted for saying, or at least I notice that you say often, is it's not what you know, it's who you know. And so if you were to boil it down to like one concept, for people to grow their business in 2025 and beyond, right? We're moving into the new year. Is it relationships? Is that like your number one thing that you would say is most vital, or is there something else that's a key ingredient that's even equivalent to it, or is that the one?
Vital for what?
For any form of growth. Well, let's just talk about like people watching this podcast are probably trying to grow their money, right? People that watch you are probably trying to figure out how to win the game and play the game at your level. Would you say relationships are the thing?
Well, I think relationships ultimately is the thing. But when it comes to success, you're probably not going to get there by yourself, number one. And even if you did, that's still a relationship that you have with yourself. So it's always going to boil down to a relationship. And what's funny is when people want more money, they don't realize money comes from relationships. At the end of the day, dude, money comes from relationships. Think back of every dollar you've ever received. It came from some kind of relationship. So if you want more money, get more relationships, which is why I say the more hands you shake, the more money you make. That's my coined phrase. If you ever hear anyone say that, that's mine. So at the end of the day, man, it is about relationships. But, I've never really said it's not who you know, it's what you know, because I don't agree with that.
All the way around. It's not what you know, it's who you know.
I don't agree with that either.
Okay.
I think it's both. It's both. It's because the reason you're not where you want to be is because you don't know the right person or you don't have the right information. It's both. You can know the right people but not know anything, you know what I mean? And
Sure.
Be invaluable to them. Not invaluable, unvaluable. In other words, I could be around the right people and not know anything and not provide any value and not be of any value, and it would mean nothing. So when people say it's not what you know, it's who you know, I disagree. I think it's both. You got to know something and you got to know the right people. Now, sometimes you can know the right people and they'll hand you things and you can screw it up.
Sure.
Because you don't know the what.
Yeah.
So it's the what and the who that matters. It's not one or the other. It's both.
Well, I'd like to touch on the word you said a couple times during that explanation, which was valuable. And so, like, we had this argument the other day, or not an argument, but we talked about this debate, healthy debate.
Difference of opinion.
Yeah. Well, I don't even know if we differed on it, but it was interesting because I've said it differently, but I like the way you said it. It was something to the effect of, like, one of the worst questions. It was when you stopped by Elysium. One of the worst, not worst, but don't approach Brad, and for you guys listening, please listen to this one, with how can I add value to your world? Like, that's a kind of a pet peeve almost, because to your point, and you could probably say it better, like, it literally throws the ball in your court to now figure out. So if I walk up to you and say, hey, Brad, how can I add value? I think I'm being awesome because I'm like, I'm going to add value to Brad Lea. But by asking you, I'm hitting the ball in your court and almost giving you a homework assignment. Like, hey, figure out, my man, how I can add value to you.
Well, that's exactly what you're doing, and you're asking for value because that information is value to you. So the very beginning of a relationship, you're asking for value, and that is not how you build a relationship. If you want to build and nurture strong relationships, you want to provide value. So when someone approaches me and says, how do I add value? They're asking me for value right off the bat. That's just not the way to do it. You want to provide value. Now, people say, well, how if I don't know how? You can assume. Now, we've been told never assume. Well, I disagree with that as well. I assume things are going to go well. I assume, you're going to like me. If I'm wrong, that's okay. It's okay to be wrong. But I assume all the time. And I suggest that people can assume that people want more money, people want more time, and people want less headaches. So you can assume that I want more money, I want more time, and I want less headaches.
So someone was trying to solve a problem for you, because I think some people might walk up to you or be in a room with you and think, well, how do I add value to somebody like Brad? Because he's already like crushing it, bro.
Dude, I don't care how much you crush it.
Yeah.
You can add value to me by providing me with money, opportunity, less brain damage, and more time. If you knew of a way to free me up, that's valuable. If you knew of a way where I could make more money, that's valuable. If you knew of a way that I could have less brain damage, that's valuable. So you can just make an assumption. You don't have to ask people, how do I add value? Just make an assumption, man. Money, less brain damage, time. Now the question is, well, how can you do that?
Of course.
Well, again, that's where you have to become a little bit crafty.
Yeah.
Make an assumption. Hey, I'll bet you anything if I showed Nick how to make some money, or I brought Nick some money, or an opportunity to make some, or an introduction, or less brain damage. Hey, Nick, I noticed that you are using this. There's a thing that I found that would actually work better and give you a whole lot more time back in your day. And you'd be like, really? See, I didn't have to ask you, how do I add value? I can assume. I can assume that you want more time, you want more money, you want less brain damage. I mean, you can keep going with things that are just naturally assumable. You don't want to assume, everything in life, but you can assume those things. When it comes to building a relationship, dude, there's nobody that would not appreciate less brain damage, more time, and more money. So
we went from headache to brain damage there in that sequence. So that's the
headache and brain damage, same thing.
No, I like it. I haven't heard it said that way. So again, we'll take apart the sentence. It's not what you know, it's who you know. You need to know both. Don't ask somebody how you can add value. Just add some value and see what happens.
Yeah,
right?
Build the relationship based on value that you provide.
And I'd like to add to that too, for those listening, like this concept we call zero expectation of reciprocation. Because to me, it's not true giving. So let's say I do something for you and I add value. Well, if I'm only doing it with the intention that you give something back to me, whether it's now or a year from now, then to me it wasn't truly like giving. It was adding value, right? But like, what are your thoughts on that? For example, if I did something for you, but I'm like, well, I'm doing this because he's Brad Lea, and someday Brad can put me on his podcast. Someday Brad can take me to dinner and put me in a box seat somewhere or whatever it is. Like, what are your thoughts on? In the business world, it seems a lot more quid pro quo,
Yeah, well, I believe that relationships should be leveraged. So if by knowing you I get nothing ever, then what's the value of knowing you? What's the value of the relationship?
Yeah.
So I would disagree with you. But I also agree with you because if you do it with intention of return, it changes your energy. And everyone has an energy, a frequency. And if your frequency is pure, you know, you're up here. If it's, you know, selfish, you're kind of down here. So when you give without the expectation of receiving, your energy's up here because you're truly just trying to give. But if you really think about it, what value is knowing me if I'm never going to do anything for you ever? Be like, well, who cares? Exactly. So in reality,
So would you argue that it's almost impossible to give with zero expectation of reciprocation? Because even if
No.
there's a 1%, like, this guy's going to do something for me someday,
Well,
you know?
again, I know that the relationship will eventually pay off
Yeah.
because it does. So I'm building a relationship with the knowledge of it'll pay off. So how do you then do it purely with giving? But I've also given somebody, like a homeless person on the street, I've given them $100.
And, yeah, there's nothing that they'll ever be able to reciprocate.
I wanted nothing from them.
So then my argument would be there's that chemical release there.
Well,
So,
I don't
right?
know the guy.
But does it feel good to do it?
Sure.
In the moment, right? Like there's
I think-
dopamine and then there's oxytocin and serotonin. So let's just, if we play with the big six chemicals, dopamine is the taker's drug. It's stuff you do for yourself. Serotonin is exchanged when you engage another person. Oxytocin's like the big time level. That's more strong feelings of love, and it happens during sex and stuff. So unless you're out there sleeping with homeless dudes, which would be weird, the serotonin. I guess what I'm saying is, you know for a fact, nowhere in down the line that homeless dude could do anything to really add value. So then the argument is the value is in the exchange or in the giving, right?
I mean, you could look at it that way.
Possibly.
But I don't do it so I feel good. I
No.
do it because I always say I'm not the one doing it.
Oof.
I'm just the vehicle through which it flows. You know what I mean?
I love that.
Yeah. So it's like I'm not the one doing it. I'm just the steward. You know, the vehicle through which it flows. But we could debate on this because, again, I mean, I've given without any expectation in return. For example, a homeless person where I literally expected nothing, but it also didn't build a relationship. You know what I mean? It might have enabled the guy to be homeless longer. I might have hurt the guy by doing that.
So here, let's touch this. Maybe the expectation is not so much with the particular person in which you gave, but if we go back to the stewarding conversation, if I constantly show God that I am an excellent steward of my current finances, then he'll likely open more doors for more financial abundance.
Theoretically.
Right. I'm not saying that's not the reason you do it, but then if we really went down the road of expectation of reciprocation, maybe the reciprocation is not directly from the individual, but from source, you know?
I do believe that.
Yeah.
From source.
Because I've seen a lot of you. We do a lot outside of work-related stuff, and I've seen a tremendous amount of giving, and you never ask for anything from anybody ever, and you don't seem to have a chip on your shoulder mentality about it. So that's the first time you've broken it down for me in that way, and that makes a lot of sense when I view it through the lens of that explanation of stewarding it, and it's coming through you, you know?
And not only that, the more you give, the more you get.
Yeah. Do you think people believe that one?
No.
Yeah, right. That's a tough one. I agree. You know what I mean? It's definitely paid dividends in my life. It doesn't always happen anywhere near overnight, and I think that's probably where people are like, well, I gave, or they have a ledger. I gave 16 times this year, and I got back 3. What's the deal?
I don't know how many times I've given, and quite frankly, you know, I don't even keep track. At the end of the day, I know that there's a universal law. More you give, more you get. So like the other day, I tipped somebody and they started crying. And when we left, the people I was with are like, oh man, dude, that's so generous of you and this and that. And I said, I love it when they cry. And they looked at me like I was crazy. And I'm like, dude, to me, when they cry, it means that they needed it. And that's when I feel the best. Even though they're crying, I don't want to see them cry. But when they cry about it, that means, man, that meant something to them. I've given people a big tip and they just got excited. Well, that's cool too, but they didn't need it as bad as that person that cried.
Yeah, I would argue the impact on the crier. Well, I hate to label him as that, but yeah, the impact on the crying individual was definitely far greater than the woohoo guy.
Yeah,
or
not
girl.
only that, dude, I have an abundance mindset. I don't think I'm running out of money, even though a lot of people would. If I give it to them, I won't have it. I don't believe that. I believe it's temporarily yours in the first place.
So you hear a lot about this. You hear abundance versus scarcity and have an abundant mindset. People harp on and on about it. Like, you are a true example of it, at least my experience of you. But how do you start to change somebody's and shift and move that needle from, okay, I could tip this guy, $2,000, or that's $2,000 I could put into Bitcoin, bro. Like, how would you actually start to, have you been able to do that for others in mentoring and helping people through this game?
Well, in reality, again, it's not me doing it. So I don't think to myself, I'm going to tip this person. I feel like tipping a person. I just ate last night and I tipped the person, way less. Why? Well, service was just as good.
Just weren't feeling it? Didn't come to you?
I didn't feel like doing it. I'm open. You know what I mean? And I think that's an advantage. A lot of people have open mouths and closed minds. I have an open mind and an open mouth in most cases. But my point is I didn't feel it. I walked by some homeless people and thought, get a job. And then I've walked by homeless people and felt like giving them money. And I've even been asked before, how do you pick?
Yeah, how'd you differentiate? So strictly
I said, I'm not the one that picks, bro. I just go with how I feel. If I feel like giving you money, I will. And I'm not worried about it coming back. I already know there's unlimited amounts of money in the world. And I have no problem acquiring money. So if I get to a point where now I need it, well, I know how to get it. This person obviously doesn't. And something made me feel like giving. So I gave. It's not a I'm going to give, so I get. And to me, that's what you said originally, which is giving without expecting it back. There's truth to that because it changes your frequency.
Yeah, 100%.
And so my frequency is open giving. I'm not expecting anything. When I give value in a relationship, I'm not expecting anything back. However, I'm aware that it will come back. And it may not, to your point, it may not come back from
directly
that
from
person.
From them, yeah.
But it will come back.
So let me ask you this. So if we go on the frequency game and even like, another, like, I don't know if it's taboo, but it's commonly used, the law of attraction. There's a hypothesis, because I don't think anyone could pull this study off, that basically says something on the lines of, we took all the money in the world and we spread it out evenly. Like, everyone just got a deposit tomorrow for whatever that number is, right? That in a matter of like 6-7 years, it would all be back in the same people's hands, almost to the dollar, right? And because it's not because you don't have money, it's because you don't know how to attract money, keep money, manage money, grow money, protect money. It's like the way that you carry yourself, your frequency, if you want to use law of attraction, but really just, and you talk about these a lot. I think it's mindset, skill set, and habits. Like, if you don't have those things sharpened, even if we took Brad's dollars right now and split them and gave them to a bunch of people, it's all going to end up in the same hands again, because you don't know what you're not a good steward of your money. Do you believe that? Do you think that holds weight?
Not really.
Okay.
Only because I'm literal about things. So if you took all the world's money and you evenly divided it, it would end up back in the same hands. For the most part, yes. Why? Because of what you said. Those people know how to leverage money and keep it and manage it and grow it and all that.
And attract it from the people.
But you also may have given it to someone who also knows but just didn't have any.
At that moment, yeah.
So at the end of the day, it's like it wouldn't go back to the exact same hands. The majority of it would end up back where it came from.
Sure. Because
they knew how to get it and manage it and keep it. But I think there would also be some that still retained it because, they just didn't have it. And when you get it, it's much easier to
maintain it or grow it, et cetera.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think some of the money would be retained by some of those people, but
yeah.
not a
I
big
think because
majority.
it's a literal translation, and I respect that. Whatever time you did the snapshot of the earth at the moment you divided, you could have several instances where someone was in a bad streak, but they're phenomenal with funds. You know what I mean? They were just having a bad year, right? And so, yeah, to your point, if you shot them, $500,000,
or like me,
yeah.
if someone would have gave me money a long time ago, I would have made more with it.
Okay. You truly believe that?
100%.
Okay.
I just didn't have any, so I had to take a while to get it, and then once I got some, I parlayed it into more.
So my pushback would be the version of you at that time that didn't have that money that would be quote unquote handed to you now would have pissed it away.
Well, that's your assumption.
Yeah. And your assumption is you would spin it up and crush it, right?
That,
based on this version of you, or you see what I'm saying? Like the argument would be,
well, it's my assumption that I wouldn't have.
Sure.
So we can both agree.
Yeah, I know. No, we're gonna have to agree to disagree on this one.
We can both agree that it would be an assumption on both parts. But I just know that had my dad been rich and gave me money, I would have turned it into something. Like I always say, I wish my dad was rich. Well, if your dad was rich, you wouldn't be. I'm not so sure. I think there's a lot of people out there that if you gave them money, it would help them, and it would accelerate
sure.
their ability to make more. And there's some that you give them money and it'll ruin their life. Yeah. So again, it's true on both parts, but speaking for myself, there was a time where if you gave me a bunch of money, I would have blown it for sure. So I guess I should wind that back and say, depending on when I got the money, because there was a time where I would have blown it. I didn't understand how money worked.
So real quick,
but
okay, go ahead.
After I learned how money worked, I still needed some.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so if that point you would have given me some, I would have turned it into something. There was a time where if you'd have gave me some, you'd have just been throwing it away.
Let me ask you this, because you talked about if we gave certain people money, it would hurt them, which is a weird sentence for people to hear. It would actually ruin your life. For sure. You're a Vegas guy, primarily, so you see the gambling. You see what it does to people's lives. I have a hard stance on this, and it actually bothers me sometimes to even talk about it. All of these celebrities pushing these gambling apps. Like, I think these gambling apps are ruining lives left and right. To me, it's a drug. It's actually a chemical. Again, it's a dopamine addiction. If it's not Pornhub, it's a gambling app. And now you're seeing 20, 30 of them out. They're crushing it because all of a sudden online gambling became legal. Like, what is your stance or thought on? I mean, I'm sure these companies are crushing it, but the house always wins. And so to me, you're putting an actual drug into the market, into commerce, knowing that the odds are these people are going to get so addicted, they're going to lose their house, they're going to lose their relationship. Like, I'm introducing an actual drug, and I'm calling it DraftKings, or I'm calling it whatever. And oh, by the way, I'm giving you these 3-to-1. For every $1 you put in, I'll match it up to like 500. So now it's like I'm giving you a taste of the crack, so you can come dance with me. And then there's these celebrities that are pushing the crap, and celebrities that I for the most part appreciate, admire, and I can't believe they would do it because.
Well, you have a delusion of philanthropy then.
Yeah.
If I'm a celebrity and someone says, "Hey, Brad, I'll give you $10 million to promote my gambling site," I'll say,
I don't think you would.
Yeah, I would.
I don't know, man. We would. I don't know.
Yes, I would. If there's anybody listening, yes, I would. Why? Because, dude, listen, that's not.
I know there's free will, so at some point you're not the causation. So if you create a TV commercial and that guy decides to ruin his life, then obviously the chain. This is the old lawyer in me. The chain of causation doesn't include Brad's commercial. I just think if I have knowledge that what I'm promoting is causing more harm than good, which is a fact. Like, there's no way to you can win that argument with anybody. I don't know that I can push that product, is what I'm saying.
Well, you're holier than I.
I think you're one of the most holy people I know. Not like go to church on Sunday every Sunday holy, but I think the way I've seen you interact with the public, and I've had a decent amount of data to make that assumption, if you want to use that word. I don't know. I think you would wrestle with it.
Not the gambling thing.
Okay. So, yeah, and that's why I use that as an example, because you see how hardcore my stance is on it? That's obviously not everybody's stance, and I guess I didn't even let you answer.
You must have been a gambling
Never in
addict.
my life. I don't get. I've literally, like.
Why do you assume everyone's a gambling addict?
I'm giving you the statistics of the chemical reaction. I'm a neuroscience guy, you know that. So the actual chemical addiction to the potential win, and then the occasional win that keeps you hanging on. So that I can.
Dude, I lived in Vegas and I gambled before. It didn't hook
Yeah,
me.
but you're okay. But I'm talking about the masses. Of course, you're different. You're also like
Well, then
you are different.
But I just don't assume everybody's.
Oh, can you
addict.
run the commercial just to a bunch of Brads that you know are not going to get?
That's not my business.
I understand that. I know.
Give
I'm
me
not.
$10 million to promote a gambling site. I wouldn't do it if I didn't promote I didn't like the gambling site.
Sure.
But I just don't think if I promote a gambling site, everyone's going to lose their house. Now, might there be some people? Sure, but guess what?
That's with anything. I just think the
also
statistics are leveraged pretty high.
I know, but I'm also a realist. Just like my daughter's a vegan, and she says if you stop eating steak, everyone will stop buying it. That's not true.
No.
If I stop eating steak, I'm just without steak. They're still going to kill the damn cow. And not only that, I don't kill it. I just eat it after it's already been killed. Yeah, but if you stop doing that, no.
You as in everybody, or she thinks your influence is great enough that you could influence enough people to stop eating steak?
Well, that's what they base it on.
Sure.
If you stop, there'll be less demand. Well, I agree with that in theory. But in theory, I'm not going to stop it. And now it's a pointless act. Just like if I don't promote the gambling site and get $10 million, someone else is going to.
No, 100%.
And those people are still going to be addicts, and nothing I do is going to stop that. So me playing that card, I'm not going to promote it because I'm promoting addiction and ruin. They're still going to be ruined. And now I'm out $10 million. Like, to me, just use common sense. And
That's a very logical argument.
Now, if someone said to me, hey, you don't promote it and it's going bankrupt and the world will be better off, well, then no, I wouldn't take $10 million because you're right. There are people that'll probably be addicted. But then again, like, I don't go that far because I'm not an addict in that way. I don't think, like, again, I tell a story where I smoked crack for 3 days straight and then said, whoa.
And then said, whoa.
Yeah, I said, I better not.
Crack's not for me.
No, this is like heavy duty. I better get rid of this. Well, that's obviously not an addict personality.
Yeah.
So I guess I don't have an addictive personality. So I just assume there's others out there. And, like I promote, banana splits. I do. They're great. But, have one. They're awesome.
I don't know. I might die.
But, you're promoting obesity.
Gluttony and diabetes.
I'm not promoting obesity because I say have a banana split, like the carrot cake at J. Alexander's. I told you about it the other day.
You tell me about it every time I see you.
Dude, it's the best carrot cake on the planet. I tell everybody, if you like carrot cake, go to J. Alexander's. I don't feel like I'm promoting obesity. Even though someone could get hooked on the carrot cake and have way too much of it and become a big fat slob and get diabetes and die,
blame you.
And
be
now
like,
their
Brad.
whole family's ruined. I don't go that far. I just give everybody their own,
Yeah, free will, choice. I
Yeah,
understand.
like, dude, listen, hey, this gambling site's badass. I got on there. They pay more points and everything, and it's a really cool site. Give me my $10 million. That's as far as I go.
Yeah.
Because I know that, hey, if you get addicted, you would have been addicted whether I promoted it or someone else promoted it. And
that's logical. If you set that ball down, another celebrity is going to come behind you and pick it up, and he's going to shine.
All I did was foregone $10 million, which I think is stupid.
I don't know if we want to beat this up, but let's throw one more variable in there. They show you the data at your shareholders meeting where they cut you the 10 million check, and they show you the data of, like,
you ruined 97 families.
Yeah, not 97. It would be, hey, 85,000 people subscribed to the app, and 85 people came out on top. And it's not about coming out on top, because I already just ran another argument through my head, because you can be like, well, maybe they just paid for entertainment, and if they only lost $300 all year, but they got to, like, experience college football in a different light because they had money on the line.
It does make it more fun to gamble on the game.
So my wife's argument, because when we do go to Vegas, which is super rare, she plays blackjack and what's the slot that everyone loves, Wheel of Fortune or something, right? And so she argues that, like, I'll give her like $1,000 or whatever. If she can last all night goofing off with that, like, that's the same cost as a nice dinner and a show, et cetera. So she's like, to me, if I can hang out with my 1,000 and either go up or down or lose it all, but I get free drinks and I have an experience, and I'm okay with that. You know what I mean? But
Well, how do you know which one's your wife and which one isn't? Like, that's my point. Like, I don't know. Maybe there's a bunch of hers out there,
Sure.
and they're gonna enjoy it.
Yeah.
But to your point, if I knew that, hey, I'll give you $10 million to cause 85,000 families to crash, I wouldn't take it.
Yeah, of course.
But again, I don't think that far in advance, because to me, it's like, dude, I mean,
No, at some point, those people made a decision, and they need to be responsible for that decision.
hey, that's their business. Now, I'm not going to promote like something I know is bad, like cocaine.
Yeah.
Do not do the cocaine. Do not do heroin.
So my stance on it is it's the equivalent of.
Right. Well,
Like
again,
Gamblers Anonymous has as
cool.
many folks, not as many as AA, right? But it has, it's a drug. It's proven all day long. Like I can
Oh,
also.
it's a drug, dude.
Yeah.
I've lived in Vegas and I gambled.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
It's fun, and I've chased maybe I didn't know I was chasing the feeling. I was just trying to get my money back. But like when you win, it's like, yes. Like I used to play slots, the video poker. I used to get my paycheck, cash it, go to the bar, and dump it in the video poker machine because, man, it was this far from hitting.
Yeah.
This far.
Did you ever have a big win or a big day? Or
A couple of them.
Yeah.
And, I lost overall. But, I mean, at the end of the day, if people come to Vegas, I don't say, don't. Whatever you do, don't come here. I say, come, dude. It's fun. It is fun. But I don't expect them to lose everything they've got and lose their kids and their family and their mortgage and all that. I don't expect that.
In my head, that happens to everyone. No, obviously not.
I know,
Yeah.
but that may be the thing is like you're expecting the worst.
I'm looking at it from a neuroscience standpoint where I can line up a porn addict, a meth addict, and a gambling addict, and I can show you their brain over the course of 3 or 4
I wish I had
years.
a gambling site so I could say, dude, I'll give you $1 million to do a commercial for me because I'd question if you didn't take it, you'd be a fool.
I wouldn't take it.
You'd be a fool.
Well, I'm sorry. I don't know what you know what I mean?
Or you're again convinced that it's a bad thing.
I'm stuck on this one.
But I'm not convinced it's a bad thing.
Are we allowed to discuss Las Vegas potentially losing one of its biggest icons? Are you eventually?
Who's that?
Are you ever going to get fully? Are you ever going to be a full-time Nashville guy? As we record this, by the way, we are in Nashville, Tennessee. I'll give you a little background, unless Brad kills me. That he's about 80-20 maybe out here. 80 Vegas, 20% here. I know you're here a lot during the holidays, but I mean, like, what would you say your timeline is right now?
I'd say 80-20.
80-20, right? But do you see that sneak into 7-30, sneak into 60-40? And then I guess what I'm saying is you are Vegas, and I've seen your setup out there. It's insane. Do you ever see yourself becoming like even 80-20 the other way or 50-50 someday soon?
Theoretically.
Okay.
I mean, I'm opening a studio, office here, so when I'm here, I can be here. The people here, I think, are better. Like, there's a better culture and there's more, I don't want to say ethical, but like, I like the people here better. I like the city there better. I'm not a big drinker. What is there to do here? Drink. But if you're, living here, you start to realize, oh no, there's way more than just drinking. Like Vegas, what's there to do there? Gamble.
Everything. No, but yeah, you're right. Because like, let's go through the run.
But people will say
you
gamble.
can't match. You can't match the food, right?
I know, but if you ask somebody,
Yeah.
what's there to do in Vegas? They're gonna like gamble. Well, no, there's way more to do than just gamble. But I don't like humidity. There's more humidity here. I don't really like to drink anymore. So when I think of Nashville, I think of the bars and the honky tonk and the music. Well, I don't really like all that. I mean, I like the music, but my wife loves it. So if my wife wants to be here and I can be wherever I want, which I can, I'm like, sure, we'll go out there. So we go out here, and then you meet more people, and you're like, hey, we're getting more friends out there than we have out here. Then next thing you know, you're out here a little more, and you're a little more. So the question is do I ever see myself being here permanently? No, because I build a life that I want, and the life I want is not
full-time Nashville.
It's not one place. It's not one place at all.
Yeah.
I think it'll be a lake house, which I'm hunting for, 3 months a year, for sure, every year, tradition, lake house. But when I'm up at the lake house, I might go on a vacation for 2 weeks. So, I'm always going to be moving. But I like Vegas enough to where I believe that I'll always have a home base.
So there'll always be a pin in that part of the map.
I think so.
Where have you looked in the lake house? Have you decided on certain states yet, like Wyoming, Montana, Idaho? Okay.
Coeur d'Alene, more
Coeur d'Alene,
likely.
yeah.
Unless there's somebody out there that can show me a lake like Coeur d'Alene, I just want trees and green. And
have you seen Flathead Lake in Montana?
No.
That's probably my favorite lake in the U.S.
Well, I have to go out there and check it out, and I'm going to check out places. That's why I said I'm starting to look.
Yeah.
But my goal is to find a lake that not a lot of people know about yet.
Oh shit, Coeur d'Alene. I mean,
Coeur d'Alene's known about.
Yeah, exactly. That's blown
So
up.
is Flathead.
Is it? You think so?
So is Whitefish.
I don't know that one.
They're all the good ones that you've heard about.
Yeah.
Clearly you've heard about. But there's little lakes around those areas that you don't know about, that you've never heard about, that are not as known, that are like still killer deals on the lake. Beautiful. And I'm hoping to find something like that. But, within a year, I'm probably just going to say screw it and buy one. And I don't care where it is, as long as there's
water,
Idaho-ish mountains and stuff.
I have a theory that so I've been like pulling teeth with the wife too to do something on the water. Like I want the next house to be. I don't mind ocean. She 100% is against it. The salt air, the sand, like
sharks.
She's never been a beach person. Yeah, but so she's cool with a lake house. And to your point, I've found over the years, and I'm getting older, that water calms me. Like water's life. Water's so vital to me.
If you're into neuroscience, that's proven.
I know. So I'm wondering, like, if you just notice a lot of men migrating to water in their later years, if you want to call it that, or like, I guess what's so because you have a whole picture of an Idaho style lake, so it's more than just the water, obviously, because you specifically mentioned the trees.
Yeah, I'm from the Pacific Northwest. I'm used to big green trees, ferns. Like, now I see people like bring in what they call mulch.
Yep.
Up there, it's just natural.
Yeah.
Like you walk through the forest and there's ferns and mulch and like, it's gorgeous.
We have you haven't been in Nashville long enough, or you have a guy that does it, but yeah, you have to remulch your lawn every seasonally.
Tennessee's beautiful as well in some parts that I've seen, but not like the Pacific Northwest. There's no big ass huge trees that I've seen.
And sequoias and the monsters, right?
And I drove up to the Smoky Mountains, and that was just Tennessee beautiful. It wasn't Pacific Northwest. Now again, I got to see before I talk, because I'm sure there's places that I've never seen that are just gorgeous. I'm just looking for a gorgeous lake that I can have a house on the water, a dock, a ski boat, some jet skis, a fishing boat, a bonfire, a beautiful home. And I want to go up there June 1 and then leave when it gets cold, September 1. So June, July, and August.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm going to be guaranteed.
Yeah, so you hide from the humidity here.
Yeah, so a lake house,
that. Yep.
Right? I think a Vegas house, because I like, believe it or not, the heat. So like September in Vegas, beautiful.
No, I'd take a dry 105 over a wet 94 here.
Well, in September, it's not 105. Yeah. Coincidentally, when it's beautiful here in Tennessee, it's beautiful in Vegas. But like right now, this weekend, I think you guys are going to have like sub-zero temperatures.
Yeah, we'll hit a cold snap. I know you're gone.
Vegas will be 45, 50 degrees. But it gets cold there too. But it's a dry heat when there is a heat. But I'll get out of there in the summertime. Like I won't be there in the summertime. I'll go somewhere like the lake house. And then when it's beautiful there, it's beautiful here. So it's either Nashville or Vegas. So I'm just thinking maybe keep my house in Nashville, get a house on the lake, and keep my house in Vegas and bounce between those three for like where I live, like permanent homes.
Well, I want to point out, for the listeners that one of the things he said at the onset of that segue or that convo there was build the life that he wants. And like not being, I think a lot of people are conditioned to like, this is my home. Like I own land. This is my forever home. You hear that a lot too. And what would it look like to have seasonal houses? Like, I mean, why not? Why can't you guys, like we're literally walking into 2025 right now, set a target where every year you buy maybe one new property in a destination area that you want to be in, and you create a lifestyle that allows you. I mean, nowadays, the reason, you said it a second ago, I can work from wherever I want. You know what I mean? I can literally pick up and go. That used to be coined like the digital nomad was like the up and coming, the young guys that are running like Amazon shops or whatever they're doing. What I guess what I'm saying is like that concept is a lot more reasonable or palatable than it's ever been. So like again, how do we get people to start shifting their mind and say, man, I would love to have 4 homes in 4 different areas for 4 different seasons.
Well, they just have to think bigger.
Yeah.
A lot of people think, Ferrari or Lambo. I say both.
Yeah.
Why do you have to have one or the other? And where's your trucks? What are you, gay? Like, you got to have a truck.
Yeah.
So where's your trucks? So, and then where's your cars? Those are sports cars.
Yeah. Where's your dailies? You can't just.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's like, I've got an Escalade. I've got a Raptor R. I've got a T-Rex. I've got a Rolls Royce Ghost. I've got a Ferrari. I got two of those.
Ferraris, yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, I don't think like that. And once you start making money, you start to realize you're not so limited. Like, why do you need to live in Vegas? Why can't you live where you want to live? Well, I want to live at a lake house, but not permanently.
Yeah.
I want to live in Vegas, but not permanently. I want to live in Nashville, but not permanently. So what does that require? Well, I need an office in Nashville, so I'm opening one. My lake house, I'll probably have
At least to some sort of studio room
or transportation to get to one of my studios. Because in the lake house, dude, that's my getaway.
Okay.
I don't necessarily want to do anything there. But more than likely, dude, I might build a damn studio there. Why? Because, dude,
I've seen you
stop.
work Saturdays till midnight. I've seen you get up on Sundays and meet me at your office when I was in Vegas.
Well, because to me, it's not work.
I know what I'm saying. I guess I don't know that you couldn't sit still for quote unquote 3 months in summer. You know what I mean?
That may be true, because to me, it's not work. So it's like, if I'm in Coeur d'Alene for 3 months a year, and I'm going to be missing out on podcasts I could be doing, content I could be creating, the things that I do, meetings and stuff. Now, thankfully, we have the internet, so you can.
Coeur d'Alene's convenient though, because you can buzz back to Vegas real quick.
Yeah, especially if you have a jet.
Yeah.
So to me, man, if you say, where are you going? I'm going to probably have 3 main houses. And the reason I say main is because, like, even in Nashville, I don't pack to come here.
Yeah.
I get on a plane and I come here. And when we leave tomorrow, I'm not packing to leave. I get on a plane and I go home. And when I'm there, I could say I'm coming home. So, like, a real home has cars and clothes and cologne and toothbrushes and underwear and socks and shoes. And, like this jacket I just got for Christmas, I like it. So I'm going to bring that.
Okay. So that makes the trip. That makes the,
yeah.
the Vegas
but other than that, man, like, a real home has everything you need.
No, and that's abundance too. It's the one thing to say I'm going to have these 3 homes, but if you're like packing 2 suitcases every time you go to the home, is it really a home, or is it just, you might as well be Airbnb in it? Yeah. So yeah, I get it, because I think we've had that discussion. Like, whatever I don't show up in, I just go buy, and that's another abundance thing that might. Well, when real quick, can I ask you this, because I want to touch on this real quick? When you just rattled off all your vehicles, do you?
That wasn't all of them, but
I know some of them. Do you feel some kind of way when you talk about your cars?
Feel some kind of way?
Like, I'm telling you, I could see someone in the audience, and this would have been me 4 or 5 years ago, before I started figuring out how to play the game. If someone sat in that chair and rattled off some of their vehicles, my instant story in my head would have been douchebag. You know what I mean?
Well, again, I feel bad for those people.
Yeah, and so I'm just curious, like, was there ever a moment where you didn't want to talk about how well you were doing, or
no?
And I know you don't just walk out and just. I guess what I'm saying is, like, yeah, there's nothing, no sort of visceral reaction right now when you're just like, Ferrari, 2 of those, Ghost. You know what I mean? Like, no. I can respect it, because we're playing a different game, I guess, but there would have been a time not too long ago where I'm like, what a douche, or quit rattling off all your shit, bro. You know what I mean?
Oh, I know what you mean.
You probably get a lot of hate for that, huh?
No, I know what you mean. but again, I would have said, bro, like, dude, you got to quit hating on money.
Yeah.
That's hating on money. You believe that is bad, when in reality, it's not. It's not bad. I have them. So what?
No, it took me a long time to realize the person that has that comment potentially about you in that moment, like you said, it's their story and their relationship with money.
They're hating on money is what they're doing. They think it's a bad thing. It's a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. Now, if I was saying it to impress you, I was bragging, like I was trying to make you feel shitty, or I was trying to tear you down to tell you everything that I have, then that would be a different story. But that's not why I did it or do it.
Sure.
And by the way, I mean, I don't do it. You can hear me on 100 podcasts. I don't talk about what I have unless it comes up, but I'm not ashamed of it either.
Yeah, and I think that's probably has a lot to do with why you continue to expand, is because that last sentence, that you're not ashamed of. Because some people may amass a tremendous amount of wealth, but not only not talk about it because it's not brought up, but even if it's brought up, they kind of hide from it. Well, and I would argue that those people are going to lose it as fast as they got it, because it's like they're still operating with some form of scarcity, even though they almost display abundance from an outsider, like from an optic standpoint,
Or they're hanging around the wrong people.
Yeah. Yeah, because you shouldn't be. There's a lot of people that can't celebrate wins because they know they're going to get hated on. And they, like you said, they're in the wrong crowd.
Yeah, they think someone's going to want it, or they're going to lose it, or they're going to be talked about negatively. They've got a poor mindset when it comes to that. Which, to me, I mean, I don't. If you don't like me because I've got some cars, then dude, you're a weird guy. And again, but
that's the definition of a hater, and I'm sure you have a tremendous amount of haters.
Well, it's because I know me.
Yeah.
I know me. People out there might not know me.
Yeah.
If you know me, then you know I'm not saying it to brag, and I'm not saying it to boast, but I do like butter on my breakfast toast.
All right.
You know what I'm saying?
I hear you. I hear you rapping and rhyming.
Is that bad? To a homeless person, I'm bragging I got toast.
Yeah.
And by the way, I like toast, but do I eat it? No. Do I promote it? Absolutely not. Not if you're a fatty, because I'm a fatty. Toast will get me fat quick. But anyway, to be real, if anybody listening had some sort of feeling, or how'd you put it?
Like a visceral reaction, like you can actually feel it. Like
if you felt some sort of way,
yeah,
when I was talking about the cars that I have, I would suggest that you stop and figure out why you have that reaction.
Yeah,
because it's not a good reaction. Like my boy Andy Frisella, you know who Andy Frisella is?
Sure.
Dude, he's got the baddest car collection on the planet. I've never seen a better car collection than his. Unbelievable, dude. In a garage that he built on his property, unbelievable. Everything he has is unbelievable. He's got a home gym that looks like a commercial gym.
Yeah.
All Arsenal built out equipment just for him with his logos on it, like the right color that matches. I mean, dude, the guy, when you look up cool in the dictionary, there's a picture of fucking Andy Frisella. Like, the dude not only has money, but he knows what to buy. Because there's a lot of people with money, they still don't have that car collection.
Yeah.
They could buy it. They just don't know what to buy. Why? Because they're not cool. They don't know what to buy. Or they got that mindset, like, oh, I better not get all this, and then everyone's going to hate on me. Andy don't give a shit if you hate on him. He's like the epitome of freaking cool. His car collection is sick. And every time he posts his car, which is rare, because he's got a little touch of what you're talking about. He doesn't
possibly, because I couldn't have told you that he has. I do know about the home gym, and
well, he doesn't show it because
but I didn't
because
know about
he
the
doesn't.
car collection. Yeah.
And
everyone knows who he is. 75 hard. If you're like a super rookie listener,
he doesn't.
First form nutrition, a bunch of other things. Yeah.
He doesn't show everything because he does get hate, and it affects him. And hate doesn't affect me. Like, I don't care.
Can you pinpoint a moment where you stop giving a shit or a fuck, or, you know what I mean? Just throw some
One day I
on
realized that you can't make everyone happy. And, I'm a logical dude. And once you realize you can't make everyone happy, well, then what's the solution? Well, you got to make someone happy. Who are you going to pick? Well, one day I was sitting there thinking about it, and I thought, man, there's only one person that I can frickin' justify making happy, and that's me.
Yeah.
Okay, so logically speaking, you can only make yourself happy. I can't control you. I can't control them. I can't control them. If I make them happy, they're pissed. If I make them happy, they're pissed. So the only thing logical is, listen, quit worrying about everybody else and just worry about you. You be happy. That's what's important. You be happy, because if you're not happy and you really do care about all these people, which I do, well, then how are they going to be as happy as they could be if you're not as happy as you should be? So if you focus on you, which is what you need to do, focus on you. Okay. Worry about you, make yourself happy, and don't worry about whether they're happy, because if they're truly for you, they'll be happy that you're happy.
Yeah.
Because I always say, do you want me to be unhappy? You want me to suffer for you? Because again, dude, that's not a definition of a real friend to me.
No, it's an excellent filter, like you said. So what would happen if you focused on you, made sure you were happy, and then one of your friends called you selfish?
Exactly.
Right? And you're like, oh, that's okay. Boop, boop. Red flag.
You identify yourself
Yeah.
as someone that's not truly my friend. Wouldn't you want me to be happy?
Yeah.
Just like sometimes I'll walk into a room and I'll hear somebody, and dude, it is amazing to me. I've heard, that dude thinks he's so cool. I didn't say a fucking word. I just walked into the room and I hear them. That dude thinks he's so cool. And I think to myself, I smile actually and look even cooler. But I think to myself, do they want me to think I'm uncool? Do they not want me to think I'm cool? Do they want me to be insecure? Do they want me to be the opposite of what they're claiming I think I am?
But the reality is they do.
And that's when I go,
Yeah.
don't care.
Yeah.
I don't care what they think.
Because misery loves company, and that's really a reflection. They're projecting all the things that they're dealing with. And so they're like, I need this guy to feel as shitty about himself as I feel about myself.
Or whatever, maybe it's their upbringing. Maybe it's their belief system. I don't know what it is, and I really don't care. Why? Because if you don't want me to think I'm cool, then I don't care what you think, because you're obviously not for me.
And people hear that a lot. I think people have heard their whole life, hey, just take care of you. Like, like you said, make yourself happy. Obviously, some people say, well, that could be considered selfish. No. As you're breaking it down, it's like you said, you're logical. It's a very logical argument. It holds water. Boom. People are going to listen to it. And in this moment, they're going to be like, okay, cool, got it. But then they're going to default to people pleasing.
They're going to cave.
They're going to default. Yeah, exactly. They're going to go back to
I don't cave to that. I've already learned.
Do you feel that there's a moment where that happened for you, or you just always been that dude? Because what's the word?
No.
Starts with the long word. Where
allodoxophobia.
Yeah, so allodoxophobia.
No, I used to worry about what everyone else was thinking.
Was there a moment or a year or
It was more of a realization.
Yeah.
Like I look back over my life and I think to myself, man, if I had all the money back that I spent trying to impress people, it would be impressive. Like that'd be a lot of money. And then I thought, but I blew it trying to make everybody else think I was cool and think I was this and think I was that. And it didn't do those things. Man, this is dumb. It's dumb to like worry about what everybody else is thinking, because quite frankly, they're not. Like when you're worried about what everyone's thinking about you, 90% of the time, they're not thinking about you.
Yeah.
That's you thinking they're thinking about you. But when you use logic, it's like, hey, if I can't make everyone happy, I mean, this is the bone. Why am I at a loss for words? It's
because you haven't eaten and you've done 85 podcasts.
That may be the case, but it's the
core issue.
The core.
Yeah.
If you can't make everyone happy, then who are you going to choose?
Yeah.
And most people don't include themselves.
Yeah. Happy wife, happy life. I'll make my wife happy.
As an option.
I'll make my kids are happy. Yeah.
Well, happy husband, happy household.
Never heard it that way, which is sad.
At the end of the day, bro, listen, if I'm not happy, my wife's not happy. I can promise you that. And if she's happy that I'm not happy, that ain't the wife to be with. So guess what? If it's all about her, pass. Okay? Not interested. Why? Well, because number one, I'm the only dude in my life, or person, I should say, that's going to be there for the entire thing. Guaranteed. You're not leaving you, bro. Okay. That seals the deal for me. Then that's
the core of the issue right there.
Well, that's who I'm worried about then. That's the only person that I'm going to worry about is me. Now, what about your kids? What about your wife? I'm not saying I'm not protecting and providing and concerned. What I'm saying is you have to choose somebody to make happy.
Yeah, it took me a long time to get there. It took me till probably 5 years ago I made that revelation. Because even, and you've heard this one, put your mask on first. The airplane line, right? And forever, when they said that on the airplane, I would have a visceral reaction. I'm like, no way. I'm a hero. Like, number one, if my kids are next to me, there's no way I'm strapping up first. Number two, I'm going to save as many people as possible before I put my mask on. Like, that's how I think that's how a lot of people think. Yeah.
What about food?
Yeah, exactly. Like, same concept.
People say, well, if you only have a certain amount of food and it's either you or your kids, who gets to eat? And I said, well, it depends. First of all, I don't believe there's no more food. Okay.
Sure.
So more than likely I'd give it to my kids. Why? Because I'll find food. I'm fine. But if it boiled down to where, no, there was one meal, and if you give it to them, you're going to die, or you can eat it, what would you do? I said, I'd eat it. I'm not going to die. Well, what about them? Well, now that I'm not going to die, I can go find them food.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, they're always putting these stupid extremes into
Sure.
the conversation just to make you look like an asshole. I'm never going to sacrifice my kids for me at the end of the day. At the end of the day, if someone said, you're going to die or your kids are going to die, I'm taking the bullet.
100%.
But at the end of the day, that's never going to happen. And if it does, I'll take the damn bullet.
Yep.
We're talking about, analogies. We're talking about
hypotheticals that are
euphemisms.
so extreme that I
Yeah.
understand.
So at the end of the day, you want to talk about who you're going to make happy. Well, I'm going to make me happy. And not only that, like, dude, if your kid's not happy, so what? Are you? If I'm happy and my kid's not happy, that's my kid's problem. I'm not here to make my kid happy to my detriment.
Yep.
Now, does that mean I won't sacrifice for my kid? No, that doesn't mean that at all. It means my kid's going to be the best off when I'm happy. Because if I'm not happy, dude, you're not going to be happy.
The whole house feels that. Yeah.
She's not going to be happy. No one's going to be happy if I'm not happy.
Yeah, I've heard it said a few different ways. Like, the best version of you is going to make the best father, the best husband, the best everything. And so how are you showing up?
Yeah, so if I got to get up and go work out, I'm going to go work out. Well, what about your kids? What about them? They'll be fine.
Yeah.
Well, you need to spend more time with them. Dude, you don't need to spend as much time with your kids as you think. In fact, they probably don't even want you to. And how about when you do spend time, spend some quality time. Put your phone away and like look at them in the eyes and talk to them, and quit acting like just because you're with them, you're spending time. What time are you spending? Yeah. You might be wasting time with them, which I've done a million times.
Well, it could be damaging time because, to your point, if they learn that quote unquote time with kids is dad on his phone halfway present, then that's how they feel they need to show up for their kids later, or their whatever relationship they get into. Like, oh no, I'm spending time with you, So, the important lessons are often caught, not taught. And so it's not about getting down on one knee and having a powerful conversation with your daughters. It's how is dad showing up consistently? Because at the end of the day, and I work with all males, so this sentence hits them. It'll be reversed for the women out there. Your son will become you and your daughter will marry you. And so they're learning everything. Like your relationship with Melissa, they're learning what it is to be courted by their future husband or at least boyfriend, right? They're learning what a relationship's supposed to look like. They're seeing what love looks like. They're seeing what, like what it means to be happy, truly happy, like you and Melissa are. Like, what I'm saying is, yeah, people have no clue that like they can check a box and say, I did a daddy-daughter date and I took my daughter to Baskin Robbins, but I was on my phone checking the score because I'm on the gambling apps, the whole time, so I wasn't really present. But they checked the box, and they actually did more harm than anything. So I do have
well, like you just said, like you and Melissa are happy. Again, what is happy?
Of course.
Because there are things that I would change with Melissa and I. And I'm damn sure, there's things that she would change between her and I, meaning she would rather I'm more this or more that. I think happiness is a choice. You choose to be happy.
Yeah, and it's your choice only. And I think that's where the happy life, happy wife thing goes out the window for me. And a lot of people subscribe to that, and I did forever too. Like, if I'm responsible for her happiness, number one,
you're screwed.
Yeah, because also too, that puts a lot of pressure on her.
Not only that, dude, you can't make her happy.
Exactly. But it takes a long time to figure that one out.
But it's the truth.
Yep.
You can't make her happy. You cannot make her happy. See, again, I realize this, so now it's like, duh.
Yeah.
But you're right. Some people think that it's their job to make them happy, and if they're unhappy, boy, it's their responsibility well, dude, listen. If your wife's not happy, that's her responsibility. If you're ethical and you're real, I say real, which means you're a good person. Like you're doing the right things, and she's not happy. What are you going to start doing the bad things?
Yeah.
You're going to start making yourself unhappy. Because that's eventually going to end too.
But a lot of men do it.
They do it because they don't know any better.
Yeah.
But hey, maybe they're getting some feedback.
On that question,
Nick Alfano.
Yeah, because we're going to wrap up. I wanted to ask you, because I ask every guest this, what does that word mean to you? Does anything come to mind?
Word?
The word feedback. Like, is in any way, shape, or form, when you hear the word feedback, like what comes to mind? Like, you don't have to define it, but.
Well, it depends on the feedback.
Okay.
There's some feedback that when I hear that word, I think, turn it off. Like if you take a microphone too close to a speaker
Yep.
and you hear that feedback, like you don't want that feedback. But feedback, by what I think of the word feedback, is information. And I welcome information, because with that information, you can improve, you can adjust, you can become better.
Yeah.
So like when it comes to like feedback, information back, I want it. I need it. I'm stupid if I reject it. I'm stupid if I don't seek it. I'm stupid if I ignore it. But because I'm literal, they call me literally.
Oh boy.
But literally, feedback could also be that noise you hear when you're getting feedback from a
I mean, it's all valuable, because even that negative feedback from putting something too close to the speaker is still like something to process, right?
Well, theoretically, it'd make you move away from the speaker, which is good, I guess, if you look at it that way. But to me, I don't want that feedback.
Sure.
I'd rather it didn't go wing at all, But for the most part, feedback is good. And you're right. There's a lot of people that will avoid feedback. They get
butthurt. They get all in their feels.
Yeah, and they're like, dude, that's the best information you can get.
If you choose to process it, like you just said, without getting in your feels, because it's just data. The data, it's just information.
It's information.
And the information is the information.
You want feedback from your customer.
Yep.
You want feedback from your wife. You want feedback from your kids. You want feedback. Looking in the mirror is feedback. You worked out for 6 months. Go look in the mirror.
Feedback.
You don't want to look in the mirror. Well, you don't want that feedback, because that's the results right there.
Yeah.
And a lot of people they make a mistake by measuring lagging indicators rather than leading indicators.
Yeah, break that down for a second, because we got into this the other day, and it was interesting, and I think 99% of people listening probably don't understand that concept.
Well, sticking with weight loss.
Yep, easy one.
If I'm trying to lose weight and I step on the scale on Friday and I didn't lose anything, that's a lagging indicator, the scale. It tells me what happened.
Yep.
It tells me what happened. Versus a leading indicator would have been Monday, did I do my cardio? Did I eat properly? Did I do what I was supposed to do? Because if I didn't, well, then Tuesday I better do twice as much to catch up.
Yep.
And then Wednesday, and then Thursday, and then Friday. So did I do my cardio as a leading indicator, and stepping on the scale as a lagging indicator? Means it's too late.
Yep.
So if you say, I want to make $1 million by 2025, and that's it, and then at the end of 2025, you look in your bank and it's not there.
Oh, man.
That's a lagging indicator.
Where the leading would have been, I did this much revenue, I hired this many people, I expanded on this new thing, and I'm constantly checking those as my indicators along the year, because they're leading me towards my target of $1 million versus
Precisely.
I got there or I didn't. And a lot of people do that, by the way. Like by the way, while we're filming this, and I'll drop it soon, it is literally New Year's Eve. So again, a big thank you for taking New Year's Eve out to come hang out with me for round 2, since I messed up yesterday. But a lot of people are probably right now in this moment, if at all, looking at their 2024. So like, did I do what I said I was supposed to do? Did I actually hit anything? You know what I mean? Or maybe they did it right after Christmas, or somehow right here during this little gap, they're actually looking at last year's whatever came out of their mouth, and maybe they wrote it down, and it's all lagging, because it's like, I said I was going to run a sub 25 5K, lose 30 pounds, make $1 million, bro. And now I'm checking to see if I did all those things, versus setting up for success a bunch of leading indicators and then checking in with those, So.
Well, just like an airplane, dude. everybody thinks an airplane just takes off and flies directly to where they're going. The whole trip, dude, they're making adjustments. If they weren't checking their indicators, they wouldn't be able to go where they were headed.
Yeah, moving at that speed and that distance, it takes about 2 degrees to be completely off course. Like you said, one little shift of wind, if they don't get back in course correct, then they end up in Maine versus New York City.
That's every flight, every time.
Yeah.
You ask a pilot, they're checking those bearings all the time.
Yeah, by 1-2 degrees, millimeters.
Slight little baby changes, like choot, 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 choot. But if they just flew and they landed and then they looked out the plane, they wouldn't be where they thought they were going to be.
Oh, that's a beautiful one. We're going to wrap with that because that's a beautiful analogy, something to think about. Something as simple as 1 little millimeter off course multiple times a year, and it's happening, can lead you looking into 2026, right? At the end of 25, like, man, I didn't do half the stuff I was supposed to do. You didn't make the course corrections. You didn't check your leading indicators. You're staring at lagging indicators. Process the feedback. Massive, massive abundance mindset. Talk about your things in front of your friends and see if they root for you, because if they don't, you might want to get some new friends. The list goes on. So
everyone, you know what everyone would say to that?
Yeah.
What do you want? Just a bunch of yes men around you?
Yeah. Most people do, though, unfortunately.
I always say no. I don't want yes men. If I say no, I want them to say no.
Yeah. Boom. There's your yes men. It's actually not an episode unless you throw in a couple zingers. You actually had like 3 or 4, but they were really right in the line with things today.
Subtle?
So, yeah.
Well, I'm trying to provide valuable feedback.
There you go.
Now, again, to me, dude, if you're listening to this podcast and you really want to win in life, it's real simple. Very simple. People are like, what do you mean simple? I didn't say easy. I said simple. There's a difference. It's simple to succeed. You want to focus on 3 things: your mindset, your skill set, and your habits, or your skill sets, depending on what you want to do. If I want to be, a general contractor, well, my skills might be a little bit different than if I want to be a surgeon. But at the end of the day, there's still skills that you need. So if you want to simplify things, just go check your mindset. If that's in the right place, check your skill set. If that's in the right place, then check your habits, because it's one of those every single time.
And if you line them all up, it's a wrap, right? It's game over.
You're unstoppable. You can do anything you want. As long as your mindset, your skill set, and your habits align. A friend of mine says you got to be in alignment with your assignment.
Yeah, he does.
So to me, it's like, because people say, well, what does that mean, dude? It's like, listen, it is possible to be all positive and run in the wrong direction, and you're not going anywhere that way. So you can be positive and run the wrong way. Okay, so you got to be positive. You got to have the right mindset, the right perspective, the right beliefs, and you have to have the right skills, because, dude, you got to be good. And once you realize, to get good, I just got to practice, right? How do you get good? Well, you practice. If your son said, Dad, I want to be good at baseball, well, give him a bat and a ball and have him start practicing. And over time, he'll get better. And they do get better, unless they have a bad mindset and they think, oh, it's too hard, I don't want to do this. Well, that's your mindset. So now what most people do is they embark on the skills, and they get a little adversity and a little discomfort and a little negative feedback, so they don't use it properly, and then they screw up their mindset, and they don't go back and fix that and then do it again and do it some more. They just stop and again fall back in a poor mindset. So sometimes it's just like an airplane, man. You got to make adjustments. You get the right mindset, you're pumped, you're inspired, you're motivated, you believe, you're optimistic, you're hopeful, you're grateful, your mindset is strong. Okay, and then you embark on the skills part. Well, you get a little,
you hit a wall.
Yeah, you get bashed up a little bit. It's not enjoyable, and you say, oh, and now your mindset's quickly changing, and you don't realize that's your mindset. Well, I already fixed that. No, that's something you do. It's not something you did. So now you got to go back and readjust. So now, okay, things take time. I just got to do a little harder. I just got to work a little more, and boom, next thing you know, your skills improved. And then the next thing you know, you become really good at what you do. Show me someone who's really good at what they do and they don't make all the money. The best basketball players make the most money. The best of everybody make the most money. So if your goal is money, you probably should take it a little more seriously by getting good at something. What are you good at? So I'm not good at anything. That's your mindset. That's not true. That's your mindset. You're not good at anything because you've never done anything
long enough. You never start, like you said, the instant gratification world that we live in. You want to be good enough to monetize it, and you want to be there tomorrow. And it might take you 4 years. Like, how long did it take to build your brand and actually start monetizing it?
5 years.
Yeah. Because I've heard you do this talk where you're like, look, guys, this is the secret. It really, and I love the way you break everything down to its most simplest form, because that's what makes it real, and that's what makes it, basically digestible. Okay, I can do that. It's only those 3 things. Cool, let me go do it. But no one does it long enough. No one stays in the fight long enough. And then you tell them from stage, look, I'm not telling you guys this secret formula that is really simple, by the way, is just going to overnight you, and all of a sudden you're as cool as Brad Lea, or you have as many followers or downloads. It's going to take years. And I think when you actually hit that part of your talk, you lose half the room, because they don't want to stick with it for years.
It could take years. You might get lucky, but I would be saying to a person that wants to build a personal brand, I would be thinking it's going to be at least 4 or 5 years. And if it's quicker, great. But dude, if you're not willing to put 5 years into it, then you don't really want it.
But I love that you say it that way, because most people out there are peddling the fact that just do what I did, bro, and you'll crush it in no time flat, or 90 days plan to success. It's like, look, this is work, consistent work. You're going to have times where you have to go back to the mindset bucket and fill it, because it's running low because you're not building your brand fast enough.
There was many times where I'm like, dude, this ain't working.
Yeah.
And fortunately, I didn't stop. I just kept doing it because of your mindset, though. It became a habit.
There you go. Next one.
And I just went, dude, like just became second nature, where, dude, the guy with the camera following me around, and the guys would edit it, and they'd throw it out on the social media, and then the next day and the next day. And a lot of times I'd think, dude, what am I doing this for? This ain't working. This is stupid. Well, that's my mindset.
Yep.
But fortunately,
you developed a habit by now.
I just kept going. I didn't think about it beyond, man, this shit ain't working. Next, I just keep doing it. And next thing you know, it started to work. And then next thing you know, it worked. And I'm like, well, shit, that wasn't really difficult.
It just had to be consistent.
And then everybody says, well, dude, yeah, it's difficult. You had money. Oh, I see. I had money. Well, I didn't when I started.
Yeah.
I started with 0 followers, just like you, dickhead. My podcast, well, you get a lot of downloads. I didn't in the beginning. I had 0 downloads, just like you.
Yeah, we call that comparing your chapter 2 to someone's chapter 22. Brad's been playing the game for a long time.
But you have to start. The universe rewards action, not potential. You can be the most talented son of a bitch on earth that doesn't do anything. You're going to miss 100% of the shots you don't take. You've heard all the cliches. Sure. It just goes in one ear and out the other, because people don't realize that's how simple it is. Listen and pay attention and believe. Like, it's that simple. Like, believe this podcast, and dude, your life will change. It may not change in a year. It may not change in 10 years. But one day, if you do what I told you to do, which is just keep going, you'll look back and you'll be like, it did work. That son of a bitch
SOB
was telling
right.
the truth.
Good old Brad.
And usually it's too late. I'm dead. You can't thank me. It's over. And you think back, man, you know what? That dude was right. I've had a lot of people DM me in Instagram and say, dude.
Years later, right?
Yeah, they're like, I used to hate you. I used to like despise you. And then I realized that what you were saying was, and finally they love me now. I'm like, cool, appreciate you. And they're like, you're a good dude, man. You're a good dude. You do all that for free. I'm like, well, it wasn't free to me. It wasn't free to me.
Yeah.
So you might think it's free because I don't charge for social media, but that shit ain't free.
Yeah.
People, well, why are you doing it? Again, I wake up in the morning and I want to help people. And one way for me to help people is to do a podcast, tell you what I think. Why? Because the way I think might change the way you think. And if you change the way you think to what I think, you might end up where I ended up. So again, you don't have to believe me. You don't have to do what I'm telling you to do. And I'm not offended if you don't. And I'm not offended if you hate me. And I'm not offended if you go around telling everybody I'm full of shit. But all I ever say to people when they want to talk smack is I say, show me your bank account. Show me your followers. Show me your results. And then let's compare them to mine. And if yours are better than mine, well, then I'm not telling you shit. I'm listening. I'm paying attention to what the fuck you're doing. That's how you know. Like, someone comes along with me who has more money and says, Brad, you want me to tell you how to make money? I'm going to go, yes. Well, here's what you do. You take your money and you do. I don't sit there and question you. I don't go, oh, dude, how do you? Dude, you got more money than me? Yeah, I do. Oh, well, then I'm listening to you. Why? Well, because there's the result.
That's the fruit, and the man will be measured by his fruit.
There's the result.
Yeah, 100%.
Now, if I found out you didn't earn that, bitch, your daddy gave it to you. My daddy's not giving me any money. Well, then I'm not going to listen to you because your dad gave it to you. But then again, if I said, what'd you do once you got it? And you made like Trump, for example.
Sure.
Oh, and then you went on to make even more? Well, then I'm listening again. Why? Because, dude, I had bad information. I thought you were handed money and that's why you have it. No, you were handed money and that helped you make it, but you made the money, man. And if you made the money, I'm listening. If you got in shape, I'm listening. If you have a perfect relationship, I'm listening. Well, I'm not listening because no one has a perfect one, but you see my point?
Sure.
So if you break it down to the simplest form, to get anything you want in life, first you got to figure out what it is. Second, you got to find someone who's already done it. And third, you got to do what they did. And if someone says, well, Brad, I want to have a social media following like yours. Okay, I tell you what I did, but then 3 months later,
you don't want to stay in the game.
You quit.
Yeah.
Well, then you must not really want that, or you want it easier. And I don't know how to do it easier because I didn't do it easier.
Yep.
That's what I did. Someone said the other day, because, I have Lightspeed. And Lightspeed, I show people how to make money with their knowledge through a virtual training system. And somebody said, well, they don't have the $30,000. I said, well, we can't help them. And they said, well, that ain't right. I said, what do you mean? He said, dude, you're only going to help them if they have $30,000? And I said, no, I don't know how to help them unless they have $30,000.
Yeah.
Why? Well, because that's how I did it. That's how I did it for Grant Cardone. That's how I did it for all these other people. They had money.
Yep.
I know how to do it with money. If you don't have money, I've never done it with no money.
Yes, I hate to tell you it's going to work, and we just try it out. It's $0. And
I've never done it with no money. I don't know how to do it with no money. If you're trying to build a big, huge social media brand with no money, I don't know how to do that. I've never done it. But if you have some money and you want to do it, I know how to do that.
Yep.
You want to sell courses and make $50,000 a month or more online, selling your knowledge. I know how to do that. The question is are you willing to do it? Because I have clients that had the money, they paid the money, and then they didn't do what I told them.
Sure.
So it's like, dude, well, that didn't work. No, you didn't work.
Yeah, my favorite one. Yeah.
So at the end of the day, you want to make money selling courses online? Come see your boy.
100%.
You want to build a social media brand? Come see your boy. You want to get out of the rat race and get rich? Come see your boy. That's my newest thing. Everyone says, what do you do in 2025? Dude, I'm focusing on my thing called real training. It's real training. It's better than college degree. It's better than anything out there. It's real training. I'm going to teach you the mindset, and I'm definitely going to get you there. I'm going to teach you the skill set, hold you accountable. There's accountability. There's the whole thing. And then I'm going to teach you the habits. And once you know those, you have to implement them. I cannot implement them for you. But if you know them and you decide to not implement them, back on you. But I can guarantee if you go through my program, you get the mindset, you get the skill set, you get the habits. I'll hire you at one of my companies. You'll make $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 a year, guaranteed. You can't guarantee them. If they do these three things and they do everything I teach them.
I'm going to give them the tools. If they pick up the tool and put it to work,
I'm not only going to give them the tool, I'm going to give them the job.
Yeah.
So a lot of people, they'll sell you the tool set, but they don't give you the job. I'll sell you the tool set and I'll give you the job. I'll hire you at one of my companies.
Yep.
Where you now are making $300,000-$400,000, $200,000-$400,000, somewhere in there. And with that, I can get you out of the rat race. You have to have discretionary income to get out of the rat race.
Sure.
I had to have extra money to start investing. I had to have extra money. I couldn't do it paycheck to paycheck. I know people making $120 paycheck to paycheck. I don't know how to help them. Why? I've never done that. I've never done that. I know how to get you from making no money to a couple $100,000 a year. And then I know how to, if you're making a couple $100,000 a year, that's
can
enough.
really blow you up. Yeah.
Well, that's enough to have some discretionary income. Not 60, not if you have a family. Like if you're making 60, 80, 90, dude, you're stuck. You want to get unstuck? Join Real Training, because I'll teach you the mindset, the skill set, and the habits, and then I'll give you the job.
No, so you're forming the hammer, teaching them how to swing it, but then here's a bunch of nails. I'm giving you every opportunity in the world.
And here's a job to build the house.
That's what I'm saying. You're giving them, so it's like you have the glorious tool.
There'll be no excuses. And what's funny about it is, people say, "Well, Brad, if why don't you just do it for free?" Well, because the first requirement is that you bet on yourself.
Yes.
So if you don't bet on yourself, why would I?
Yep.
Number one. Number two, you got to have skin in the game. There has to be a risk. You have to take risk to succeed. So this is a small risk, but it's still a risk. What's the risk? You lose your money. But if you can bet on yourself, you won't lose your money. Well, that's the risk. So someone writes a check, they go through the program, I give them a job. 90 days after they go to work, if they do what I tell them to do, they'll be making killer money, and I'll give them the fee back in the form of a bonus. So that's not even a fee. It is for free, but there's a deposit involved.
It's a sign. It's the willingness to bet on self and know that it's coming back in 90 days.
It will come back
exactly.
in 90
That's
days
what I'm saying.
if they do what I tell them to do, and I can't control them. So that's why it's on them, man. So if anybody's listening to this and you're like, dude, I'll do that. Well, again, be warned, it's only going to work if you do what I tell you to do. I do know the way out. I do know how to get rich. I do know how to fucking get to the next level, but you have to do it. The information alone is not going to do it. I'll tell you that up front. I'll give you the information, then I'll give you the job, and that won't do it. The only thing that's going to do it is you.
So I think
what's funny is that's what you end up learning. Like, I could have done this without this. And that is true. You could have, but you didn't have the information.
No, but I think
and you
people
didn't have the
are
vehicle.
out there shopping for a hero. They want you to be their hero.
I'm their hero, bro. I'm the modern day Moses.
Well, I'm going to give you a different spin
I'm
on
gonna
it.
lead people
I
out of the
want to
desert.
change their mindset to actually be able to do this live right now. There's the hero, there's the villain, and then there's the guide. And if they come to Brad actually cannot be their hero. Brad can only be their guide, because the hero has to be them. They have to be the hero of their own story.
That's true.
And so Brad, what he's offering is a guide that has been across the river that you're trying to cross, that has left the rat race and made multiple 8-figure companies. So that's a pretty strong guide. Like, there's a pretty good idea if I'm willing to walk as the hero next to this guide and face the many villains. The villains are the stories in your way. The villains are, I don't want to spend this money to invest in myself and maybe get it back in 90 days. That story is your villain.
Apps.
Yeah. That story is the energy that you're feeling right now, why you wouldn't pull the trigger. If you're looking for a guide, you want a guide that's been where you're trying to go, like he talked about earlier, that then has a proven system that if you step next to, I don't know how else to explain it other than, a hero villain guide has always been my, because I wrestle with this. I coach men for a living.
Good way to explain it.
Yeah, and it's like they want me to like catch the fish for them. I'm like, bro, I'll never catch a fish. I mean, you've all heard that analogy your whole life. It's like, I'm going to teach you how to fish. I'm going to stand next to you. I'm going to tell you how to switch the hook out. Now try this bait. Now let's move down the pond. I'm going to guide you as much as possible, but I'm never pulling a fish out of that water. I won't do it. Because at some point, I'm not going to be available. And then what are you going to do? You know what I mean?
Well, I would say to that, I've already pulled the fish, okay? Look at the reel, okay? Play the video.
Play the tape.
Run the tape. Back. You'll see. I've already done it. And I dropped out of high school at 16, didn't have a college degree, didn't have a high school diploma. Was set up to fail from day one. Bad parenting, or lack of parenting, I should say. The little parenting I got was decent, but I didn't have any mentors, any coaches, never should have been anybody. But at the end of the day, I only say that to say this. Anyone, literally anyone, has the potential inside them already. And you're dead ass correct. I cannot be the hero. You might give me the credit, which a lot of people do, but it's wrongfully placed. I've had people say, dude, you changed my life. And every time I answer them back, it wasn't me. And they're like, well, yeah, it was God. No. I mean, ultimately, yes,
sure.
But it was you, bro. I gave you the information. You took it. You ran with it. I told you where to go. You went there. I said what to do and you did it. Like, who changed the life? You. If you didn't do it, your life wouldn't change and I wouldn't have the credit. So again, you're giving me credit falsely, but I'll, say thank you gracefully. And
Yeah, because guides come in many forms. A guide could be even 3 sentences that Brad said on this podcast. Imagine going on your journey and you see a sign in the road, and because you took in that information, which was 3 sentences from this podcast, you changed your course a little bit. So that sign was a guide in the form of a sign. So they don't always have to walk alongside you for a 1-year program or whatever. There's way different ways to do this. But yeah, to your point, the reason you're getting all those messages is because something you said, 1 sentence, from one podcast, from one episode, and you've done tons. One thing from stage, one handshake when you're helping a guy out in Vegas on the strip, like that's all it takes sometimes. That's the little bit of boop, the course correction that the airplane has to make to land at the destination, which is a completely different version of their life.
That's right. And for all the people out there that are like, yeah, but I don't have any money to join your program, so you won't help me. Go buy my book. Well, I don't even have $20 to buy your book. Follow my social media. Well, I don't have a phone to follow social media. Can't help you.
Yep.
I'm not going to buy you a phone. I'm not going to drive to your house and make sure you're getting up and doing the habits that are necessary.
At some point, you got to get out of your own way. Yeah.
Not only that, but there's so many people that can help themselves that I can help. Like I always say, look, I can save you from drowning, but you got to swim towards me. I'm not swimming after all the people that are swimming away from me. There's too many people swimming towards me that need me. So, like I said, I'll circle back for all the dipshits after I help all the other people. Because there's a bunch of people out there that, like, whatever it was, I convinced them, I closed them, they took a chance, whatever their reason was. There's so many people that want out of the rat race, that have the capabilities. They're willing to bet on themselves. They're willing to do the work. They just need the information and a guide. There's so many of those people out there that I'm helping on a regular basis. I don't have time to help the
dipshit lap. I'm going to take a dipshit lap, guys. Hopefully you guys are still alive.
I can't help you. When I'm done helping everybody else, I'll recruit them to come help the dipshits. Yeah. So like, let me help enough people to help me help the dipshits. But right now we're not helping the dipshits. Yeah. Like I say, I can help people. I can't help losers. People are like, what do you mean? I thought that's what you did. No. I help winners that are currently losing. There's winners inside of us, and they're just unawakened, or, they're winners. Like everybody that I've helped, dude, they were winners, or I couldn't have helped them. You can't help a loser. A loser loses. That's why they're called losers. But you helped this guy that was losing. I helped a winner that was currently losing.
Yep.
So again, I mean, not that this is a call to action, but if you guys want out of the rat race and you want to become quote unquote successful, hit me up, The Real Brad Lea, or bradlea.com, and look for the job opportunity.
If you can't find Brad Lea, then you probably shouldn't be in his program anyway. So.
Come work for me, man. That's all I'm telling people. Yeah. Like, drop the shovel. I say, take off the apron, drop the shovel, turn off the backhoe, and just come work for me. Yes, you're going to be selling things. Well, I can't be in sales. That's your mindset, but whatever. Yeah. But the bottom line is you will be selling, you will be confident, there will be work to do. But if you're willing to do the work, dude, I can help you. That's it. If you're not willing to do the work, there's nothing magical about me. I just know the path. And if you're willing to take it, bro, I can get you. I can get you to the top of the mountain.
All right. Well, I think we're going to wrap. It is New Year's Eve, 2024. Thanks again for coming out, because I forgot to press the record button. I don't know if we're hanging out later, possibly, but either way, I know you're heading back to Vegas tomorrow. So again, we'll catch up when we catch up. I'll probably come out there and we'll do something cool. But
hey, and by the way, dude, anybody that goes through your program, if they're through your program and they want a job, I'll hire them.
100%.
That'll help sell your program. You can now guarantee them a job.
Yeah.
Because if they graduate your program and commit to doing what you taught them, because I know what your program does, I'll hire them too. How about that?
There you go. You guys heard it. So there's something to think about. If for some reason you don't think you're ready for Brad yet and you've got some crazy stories, most of you probably know what I do for a living, but we can reprogram that mindset and get you ready. And he's well aware of what we do. He sent quite a few people to our event. So yeah, it's kind of a rubber stamp. If I send a guy to Brad and say he's good, then Brad will take him to the next level. So we will unpack that. We'll leave something down below to see what that looks like and investigate it. But again, thank you for coming out. This has been yet another episode. We'll drop it quickly since we keep talking about the date being New Year's. And other than that, I think we're good. I think we're out of here. See you guys. Peace outside.